There are some people out there who would say that I shouldn't make this video because it's going to hurt my brand. But if you truly understand my brand, then you would know that my whole purpose of these videos and of being here is to assist people in understanding the full 360 degrees of themselves, which means that I have to be transparent about me. I can't help you or help you to find help if I'm not transparent about myself. Now, in the black community, especially, if you go see a psychiatrist or a therapist, then you're considered to be crazy. And if you're crazy, that's a stigma that hinders your life. But I want people in general, and especially black people, to know that it's okay to go get help. I am seeking help right now for my PTSD. And I need you to understand that it's okay for you to go and seek help. And if this video helps or hurts my brand, I really don't care, because I care about you, and it's okay. So what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz. And first, before I start this video out, I want to thank everybody who watch these videos, everybody who's a subscriber on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all those, and all my patrons. I really appreciate you guys. Everybody who shops at Uncle Renz Popcorn, as well as Alchemy Popcorn, I appreciate you as well. So if you watch my videos for any long period of time, then you may have caught statements of knowing that I was once in the Marine Corps, and that I was served in Desert Storm, the first Gulf War, and I also during Bosnia and a few other conflicts. But there is something that you guys really don't know. I don't talk about it that much. But I'm going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about it today because I had a emotional break. And through that emotional break, I started thinking about the fact that many people won't go and take care of their mental health. You see, the 360 degrees of you is taking care of not just your financial health, your relationship health, and your physical health, but your mental health is very vital. Without your mental health, all these things that we talk about won't matter. Now, as far as my mental health, going into adulthood, I had really great mental health. Yes, I'm the kind of person that wants to help people and make everybody's life around me better. Kind of like a chef. The chef who, they love to cook, but they love even more to watch people enjoy their food. You're like, they won't even sit down and eat. They want to watch you enjoy it. I'm that kind of person where I get so much joy out of helping somebody else make $1 million. So much joy out of helping other people build great relationships. So much joy out of helping other people get healthy mentally and physically. You know, I get so much joy out of that. Even when I'm not doing it for myself or have the ability, you know, the surroundings, the environment to do it for myself at that moment, but I can help you do it. That's awesome for me, because that gives me life, right? So today I want to give you guys a little testimony, if you will, about me, and hopefully it inspires you that whatever trauma you are suffering through, whatever trauma you've had in your life, that you'll take this opportunity to go and get help, to let somebody in, to stop holding it in. See, I've built up walls to keep these things in, but I'm telling you, those walls have been breaking. I was watching a television show, but because those walls are breaking down, it put me in tears. It put me into depression. And I want you guys to know that you got to go get help. Don't sit and try to deal with these things on your own. I've had coaches for everything else in my life. It is only now over the last, few months that I've had a coach for my mental health, a psychiatrist. And I'm not ashamed to say it, and you shouldn't be ashamed to say it, because I'm realizing more and more how much this PTSD from the military has affected me. Now, was it going to Desert Storm? It had a little bit. It had some parts. Hell, it had enough parts. Was it being on mine watch and knowing that if we hit a mine that I would be the first one to die? It has its moments. Was it going to Bosnia and seeing children, being forced into fighting down in Rwanda and Sudan, children being forced into fighting, refugee camps? Was it those things? Yeah, they had their part. But it all started before I even got to Desert Storm, before all those other things happened. The first time it started was when we were hanging around the equator in between Liberia and Angola on the USS Nashville. And I'm not going to go into all the details of the person, but I was working for an asshole racist whose whole life was to see how much punishment he can put into my life, how much he wanted to break me. He couldn't break me in the first few months we were together. So when we were hanging around this equatorial area, he made sure that I knew that the body of water we were in was where the Atlantic slave trade was happening, the transatlantic slave trade. That this is where he would make sure I knew this water is shark infested because slaves were thrown off the boats. They were getting sick and thrown off the boats for the sharks to eat. That women jumped off the boat with their babies and they were eaten alive by sharks. He even went as far as to say in one statement, and please don't get caught up into him on this video, but in one statement that he wondered if his ancestors sold those seeds. It's the kind of person I was dealing with. So one night, because he loved working me to death, basically, one night he decided that I needed to go over to the Saipan and do this work for a few days and then come back over. But I also had to take all my work with me and make sure I get all my work done before I go. So the helicopter was leaving at 9:45 p.m. So he made sure, he made sure I was on the manifest. But what he didn't have control over was Gunny Sergeant Brooks. He had me doing some work for him, and it was work that only I could do at the time. And he made sure that I was, finishing it up. So I missed the flight. And Gunny Brooks knew that there was another flight that was going out around 11 p.m. So it was fine. He would just change it and put me on that manifest. Well, around 10:30, all flight operations get shut down. We turn into a rescue mission. We turn into a rescue mission, a salvage and rescue mission, because the helicopter crashed. And where the helicopter crashed was some of the most shark-infested areas of that body of water. So for a few minutes, everybody in my unit thought that I was dead, that I was on that helicopter. What they didn't know is that I was in the berthing space getting ready to go for the next flight. So after finding out that I wasn't on that flight, Staff Sergeant Green made it a point to come find me. Because the ship, we was going looking for the wreckage. And our ship happened to find the wreckage. And so our SEAL team and some recon guys went out to go and salvage the wreckage and bring back the bodies. I had nothing to do with salvaging. But Staff Sergeant Green, when he found out that the bodies were being brought back, that everybody had perished, everybody had died, he made me go down to the lower V, where the boats would be coming in. And he made me be part of the crew that would carry the bodies. The Navy already had people assigned to this, but he made sure that I was the only Marine, other than the recon guys who went out there, I was the only Marine that had to go and pull the bodies out of the boat. When I saw the crew, I recognized that I knew that particular crew. I had flown with them quite a few times. I knew that they had children. I knew they had wives. Like, I knew these guys. And their bodies were chunks of body parts bitten off, sharp teeth embedded in skulls. And all I could think about was I was supposed to be on there. All I could think about was maybe if I was on there, maybe I would have counterbalanced the plane, or maybe I would have been able to open the hatch, or open the, so that we could escape from out of the helicopter, and everybody would have survived, and these guys would be old men today. All I felt is that I could have done something. I possibly could have saved these guys, and then I could think about was why did I survive? Why am I here? I was no more special. I'm no more special than those guys. They deserve to be here and have family. I didn't even have kids yet. I was just a married guy, and only been married for like, a few months. These guys have been married for a while. They had children. Why do I get to live and they don't? I didn't think it was fair. I didn't understand it. I didn't know the cause and effect of things. And to this day, I have nightmares. To this day, their bodies will come to me. It'll break into whatever the nightmare is going. And initially, the nightmare seems nice and decent. And then all of a sudden, their bodies are there. All of a sudden, they're walking towards me. And they're talking to each other, but I can't understand them. And they're bloated, and their bodies are like mangled, and they're talking to each other, and they're looking at me with these eyes, and they're looking at me like they want me to help them. But every time I don't know if I should help them or fight them. So, and I never know what they're saying. And even though I've had this nightmare over and over again, I don't know how to respond to them. When I look at how I've had struggles business-wise, struggles with my relationships, I know that this plays a part. I know that there are, as much as I study Tantra, as much as I meditate and study my chakras, and I know I have disconnects in relationships. That as soon as it seems like somebody is trying to hurt me or harm me or, go outside of what they say that they are, that I begin to detach emotionally, and I know these things, but I never sought help for years, for decades, because that's not what black people do. And if you seek help, who's going to listen to you? Why would you listen to me knowing that I have my own struggles? Even when I had a pastor about 10 years ago tell me that if you want to know what a pastor is struggling with, listen to what he preaches about the most. Listen to what he preaches about the most. He may look successful, may have all the answers, but listen to what he preaches about the most, and that'll tell you what he struggles with the most. I don't trust people. It is very difficult for me to trust people. After those events, after 2 years with that man, and after going through Desert Storm and going through that helicopter crash and other things, I don't trust people that easily. It is very, very hard to win my trust. And it is even harder to maintain it. It is even harder to maintain it. Most guys I know don't sit with their back to the door because they've been trained to do that. I don't sit with my back to the door because I think somebody's trying to get me. I don't sit with my back to the door because I feel like because I was supposed to be on that plane, on that helicopter. I'm living on borrowed time. I'm living on borrowed time. I'm not supposed to be here. And at any moment, something can come through that window. And if I don't see it coming, you see, I didn't see that helicopter crash coming. I didn't see what Sergeant Green was doing. I didn't see none of that. So that window has to stay open so I can see. And I have to see that window so I can see what's coming. There's a lot of things that are going on, that goes on. And it is so difficult trying to keep it together in this video. 45 minutes ago, I was a whole nother story for my state of being. But I'm telling you this. In this time frame that I've started seeing a therapist, a psychiatrist, it has been some of the most emotional weeks of my life, as well as some of the most beneficial. You will go through it. You will have to face everything that you have ever dealt with. If you have been through sexual traumas, if you've been raped, men and women, male and female, if you've been raped, if you were abused excessively as a child, as an adult, if you've been in a relationship where you were beaten, you will have to face those. You will have to face those demons. You have to learn to accept what has happened in your life, but not allow it to dictate who you are. I was asked a question: am I being my authentic self? In the business world, I know that I am not. I'm not doing what my authentic self wants to do in the business world, nor am I being it. In my relationships, because I have this distrust, I have my expectations. I have what I know would make me happy in a relationship. But I will put everything out there and put my total self out there. But I open myself up to be devastated, to be hurt dramatically. It is authentically me in a relationship. It is authentically me in my friendships. It is authentically me in how I deal with my family. But I withdraw into depressions, away from people, away from family. I withdraw into depressions away from business, away from finances, away from my personal health. Because I get stuck. Sometimes I get stuck. How did I survive? Why did I survive? And I know some people are going to say you have a bigger purpose and you got to let God open His purpose to you. I've known my purpose. I've known my trajectory from the time frame that I was a little kid. But there's always been people out there that I say are there to destroy that, to destroy me. That they will go through great lengths to make sure that my life is hindered. And I've allowed them to have success. And I've allowed my own psyche to hamper my own success. Success in relationships, success in my health, success in finances. I've allowed all these things to be a hamper to it, to diminish my abilities, to stop me from being the greatest version of myself. So am I authentic? I am authentic to a degree. But am I the greatest version of myself? I am not. But I understand that I was on that pathway. I was being that. I was totally being the greatest versions of myself up until that night. That night I changed. That night everything in my life started fading away. Everything started going the wrong direction. I lost my trajectory. And although I've had parts of it that, doing these videos is part of it, I'm not doing it to my fullest ability. Y'all are not getting the best versions of me. You're getting the true me, but you're not getting the best versions of me. My kids don't get the best version of me. Relationships, people aren't getting the best versions of me. Business-wise, I haven't been the best version of me. And I know that my daughter, my middle child had asked me, some years ago, she was like, Dad, you know all these things. You can tell us all these things. Why aren't you wealthy? You can tell us how to run our finances, how to invest, what types of things to look for and invest. Why aren't you wealthy? That struck me hard. That struck me very hard. And of course, I told her, I said, as an adult, when you got kids, you have responsibilities, you make mistakes, it's hard to recover. But the truth be told, ever since that night, I've not been the best version of myself. So I'm seeking help. I have my sessions. Can I actually afford those sessions right now at the price that they are? Hell no. But guess what? I make it happen anyway. I make it happen anyway. Because in order for you to be the best version of yourself, you got to get yourself mentally healthy, physically healthy, financially healthy, emotionally, relationship healthy. You got to get healthy in all categories. So stop letting your sexual molestations hold you. Stop letting systematic racism hold you. Stop letting near-death trauma hold you. Stop letting any of these things hold you. PTSD comes in so many different forms. It's not just something for military people. It's not just something for first responders. It's something that people experience in their everyday life. And we're walking around hiding it. We're hiding it. Out of all the women that I've ever known in my life, over 90% of them have expressed that they've experienced either some type of sexual trauma or physical or mental abuse from a man. How do you expect to have wonderful, loving, intimate relationships when your perception of a relationship is violent? And even though you may be expressing love in certain ways, you can't get there. It's filled with violence. You can't focus at work because of what happened in the military. You can't focus at work because of the trauma you've been through seeing war or seeing violence in the street or seeing loved ones get violently gunned down. You can't get past it. You can't function in the black community because you're still suffering through the PTSD of segregation, integration, Jim Crows, and all that. So it's time to get help. It's time to get help. Get help from somewhere. Just get help. And as always, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable.